Hi, and welcome back to Let's Talk Shop. We're here today with another guest episode. If you are new to the podcast, my name is Therese. I work with small product based businesses and I help them grow their wholesale. My business is called Small Business Collaborative, and I thank you so much for listening. Before we get into today's guest episode, I wanted to take a brief moment to tell you about a free workshop I'm hosting on the 24th of September at 11 a.m. UK time. It is called Cracking Christmas, Build Your Self-Plan for Your Best Q4 Yet. And it's all about building out your sales plan for the year. The busiest quarter is almost here. We often refer to it as the golden quarter inside retail. And it's completely free to join. If you come live, there will be some amazing bonuses like a wholesale toolkit with templates to help you even more and save you time. There will be live audits and emails and catalogs, and there will be a Q&A element as well. All you have to do if you want to grow your wholesale this year and would like to come, please head to the show notes and you will find the link to sign up there. And now let's get back into the episode where I'm speaking to Kate from Factory Floor Jewels. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
Kate is the founder of Factory Floor Jewels, and she makes these really beautiful, minimalistic, clean looking jewelry with a really interesting story. And it's also very unisex. And I'm sure Kate will tell us more about it. So, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit, Kate?
Thanks, Rose. Yeah, so I'm the designer and maker behind Factory Floor Jewels, and it's a contemporary jewelry business. I make very simple pieces with quite a modernist style to them. What's different about it is I use quite mixed metals. So although I've trained in silversmithing, I don't just stick to silver. I work with stainless steel, copper, brass, aluminium, as well as sterling silver. I also work with a lot of reclaimed and recycled materials from industry. So items that literally sometimes come from the factory floor. And the collections on the brand have quite strong stories behind them. Yeah. And I sell that in a number of ways. I sell wholesale, I sell direct on my own website, and I do markets and events throughout the country as well.
Why the factory floor? Like, where does that come from?
So it's all about my dad. My dad passed away 22 years ago. So I guess what's sad is that he never saw it happen. But basically, as a little girl, my dad was an engineer. He was a packaging engineer. So he designed boxes, but he also designed the machines that made the boxes. And I used to go to work with him on a Saturday. He'd go in to do some paperwork, and we would walk through the factory that kind of wasn't usually in operation. And then we'd go up the stairs to this mezzanine drawing office where he was working. And I'd always be looking sort of down through the glass down at the factory floor, fascinated by the machinery and the equipment, etc. And my dad was a great tinkerer as well. He had a workshop at the back of the garage at home. So I've now actually got some of his tools that I use in my workshop, and I use them at my bench. And some of my pieces are made using tools that he himself made. So a lovely
That's
six worth
so
in it.
lovely. I love
Yeah.
the story and the
And of course,
inspiration.
I have beautiful boxes.
Yes, of course. You do
Yeah.
have beautiful boxes.
Yeah, couldn't not.
Yeah. You kind of had to.
Yeah, yeah.
So, could you maybe tell us a little bit on where you are with your wholesale? Where are you stocked? And how long have you been wholesaling?
So I'm stocked in around 20 stockists. I've literally just come onto this call straight from a phone call with a beautiful gallery, the Hepworth Gallery in Wakefield in Yorkshire, and we've just gone through an order. So I'm going to be stocked in the Hepworth shortly. So that makes it 21, which is wonderful. And that's the kind of culmination of quite a lot of work, which you've supported me through as well. So I'm very grateful for that. My stockists range from large kind of national galleries like Tate Modern and Tate Britain, national galleries and museums in Scotland, uh, to gift shops, to smaller kind of contemporary craft galleries like Blue Coat Display Centre, Cupola in Yorkshire, lots of gift shops, fashion boutique, and a couple of jewelry shops as well. So And I tend to cover quite a lot of the country at the minute. So yeah.
And you also sell direct through your own website, right?
Yeah, that's right. Through my website and then also through markets. So you asked about how long I've been doing wholesale. So my first wholesale venture was probably about 7 or 8 years ago. And then obviously things for everybody changed during COVID, but also they changed for me at that point because I became a full-time carer. So I actually stopped working on my brand for about 5 years. I've only been back doing wholesale now for about 2 years and started doing markets again, which I really enjoy. And I mean, it's exhausting. It's a completely different strategy. But what I do find is that it's excellent market research. It really connects me to the type of people that buy and wear my jewelry. And that's really helpful to me to develop the pieces so that I know who they are.
Yeah, I love that. I also love that you said that you've just gotten off the phone with one of your stockists. Because so many people, and now I'm going completely out of script with my question, but so many people say that they are worried about phoning their retailers or speaking to them on the phone. How do you find that?
That's me. I'm like that. I don't think it at all. But this is somebody that I've met at a trade show. We've had quite a few emails and they wanted to place an order and it felt like the right time to kind of jump on a call. We did a video call um, and go through the product catalogue together. And I actually got some pieces out and showed her the difference in scale between some pieces. Yeah, yeah. It was a nice way to do it, actually. Yeah.
And did you enjoy it?
I did. Yeah. Yeah. And she was really complimentary at the beginning as well. So about how I've been handling the process of talking to her and communicating with her. So that was good.
Big confidence boost when
Yeah,
someone is doing
definitely.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Going back to the questions I did actually prepare, you have you have done a few trade shows, quite a few trade shows now, which I presume has helped you build stronger stockist relationship.
Yeah.
What do you think has helped you stand out and get repeat orders?
So I think initially what's helped me stand out is that thing that I talked about branding. So myself and my husband worked in commercial interiors for quite a long time. And one of the roles that we played was we would design and manufacture and construct exhibition stands for people, so like flooring companies, office furniture companies, etc. So my first trade show, we kind of treated it like I was the client. I think so. My trade show stands have always been beautifully designed by my husband, and then like, we install them, and I'm like, I look like the picture that's amazing. So I feel like the branding has been very strong, and so people would come onto the stand and read the story and get a message by looking at the way it's displayed. One thing that I did also understand about trade shows is that you probably need to be seen at them a few times before you get orders. And that's definitely played out for me. So obviously I didn't do any during that 5 year break. But before that 5 year break, I had met National Gallery Scotland at a trade show. And I had continued to update them sort of every twice a year, maybe, with my new catalogue, or just drop them a line. And then my first trade show back, they literally walked onto my stand at 9:30 in the morning and said, introduced themselves and said, we're here to place an order.
Oh,
And that just kind of proves that thing about you need to be, if you're new on the scene, then some organizations aren't integrated with you straight away. They need to see that you're around. They're not there. You carried on trading and who you've been working with. And yeah, I've retained them as a customer. So yeah, I do tend to retain customers and that's good. It proves that my pieces are selling. Got to bring out new lines for them to have, as well as not retiring an old line, although I did do that this year and there's some sadness about one of my collections going. And then I think just keeping in touch with people. There's different scales in my wholesale customers. So like big organizations that have a number of people on the buying team, or the one person owned shop and managed by the same person. Got to appreciate that they're busy or they're dealing with everything. They're doing the social media, they're doing the buying, they're doing the talking to the customer in the shop. You've just got to kind of form relationships with them, I guess, and meet them where they are.
absolutely. One thing that I picked up on was how your stand was essentially professionally designed from your first show. Do you think that helped build trust? Because I always think that when I go to a show, it really helps when I can understand the brand from the beginning.
Yeah, I think that thing about being there several times, that sort of having some of the tools and the techniques, having the wholesale catalog ready, having understanding the language is really important, and being able to talk to buyers using the terminology that they will use is quite important. But I wouldn't want people off the small sort of sole traders who don't have a design level funds in their pocket, as it were.
No, no.
I think it's about personality, and I feel like what we were projecting personality of my brand. And
Yes.
so, for example, I don't ever want to be some small galleries, independent galleries will want to talk about the maker using the maker's name. I always want to be listed under F, not K. I always want to be listed as Factory Floor Jewels. I don't mind my name being talked about. I'm Kate and I'm from Factory Floor Jewels and that's cool, but it's the brand I want speaking about. I'm not the brand.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you want that brand awareness. So, of
Yeah.
course, if anyone's listening, if they're new to about to do their first show, I think that the thing to remember is that, you don't have to have a professionally designed
No.
stand, but it needs to look somewhat professional and presentable and be shoppable. And hopefully you've visited a show before, you can kind of keep it simple and see, you can always build on it from show to show. So let's talk about storytelling because the way you build your collections, there is a lot of storytelling in your pieces and in the collection and even with your business, how the inspiration behind it. How do you use that when you pitch to retailers and, or at your trade show stand or when you're speaking to buyers and your catalog and that sort of thing?
So I think in my catalog, the brand story is there, right? The get go, the first page. I introduce it and talk about in the first person about the story about my dad. The stories are on my collection. So there's material story behind each collection. So it's what are the materials that are used in it and what are the benefits of using those materials or what's the history of those materials. And then sometimes there's a design inspiration. So I've got a collection called Marina, and that came because I visit the boatyards. I live in Liverpool. I work in Liverpool. It's got a great industrial city. There's lots of engineering workshops and traditional manufacturing going on. And I visit the boatyard and I go to the marina and I look at what comes out of boats that are broken and what goes back into boats. They save things for me. They go, "Where's the jewelry girl here?" And then I'll be inspired by some of those pieces, some of those engineering pieces. So that's a great product line to pitch to people that are by the seaside or to like a Christmas gift for somebody that's interested in sailing. So I build those connections, I think, through the stories behind each collection. And I'm always really keen to find the best way to give the retailer that expertise as well. So it's interesting. So for some people, it might be that I do a little video and send it to them. But today, when I talked about that, the customer I was talking to today said we've tried videos and our shop staff so they haven't got time to watch the video again. They want it on a piece of paper. I think
Yeah.
so there's all those different ways in which you can get that information over. But the way in which I would sell the piece if I was selling it, as opposed to
Yeah.
the customer in the shop.
I think that's really important when pieces have a story that how can you communicate that with the staff in the shop, on the shop floor, the people that are going to get the questions. And it's absolutely about meeting them where they are, like you
Yeah.
said.
You can think you've told them in a certain way, but that's not the way they needed it. So you have to
Yeah,
use it. And they're different for everybody.
of course. Of course. You're super intentional about your collection building too. How does that help you with getting stockists to reorder?
So I think it helps in terms of talking about display. So we can talk about initially say which collections do you like, and then you don't want somebody to just order one piece from a collection because it doesn't allow them to tell that story. So I think we would all agree that a shelf that has, or an area of a shop that has something in it that has multiples or is well stocked or has things that sit together. So I think that's quite important. And I think in terms of the end users purchasing a piece of jewelry, somebody who's been bought a pair of earrings as a gift from a shop might then really like them and might go back and buy the necklace to go with it or that kind of thing. So I think that pieces sell other pieces when you've got collections. I tend to have a couple of choices of earring style, a couple of lengths of pendants for style dependent. But there tends to be about 5 or 8 or 15 in one case pieces in a collection. But
Yeah, I do think it's important with jewelry, and perhaps even more so with your type of jewelry that is quite clean and no. Actually, some of the pieces are quite big, but
yeah, but they're still quite fine and delicate. It's quite
yeah,
hard to define them sometimes in the way they're displayed, I think. Yeah.
unless they have like multiples and it kind of tells that story. Do you find that retailers are kind of receptive to buying that way?
I think what's really important is, and what I have discovered through a recent trade show that I did, is that there's definitely a difference between a retailer that understands their customers and a retailer that doesn't. So I have had the experience of retailers who buy from my range because they like it, and they will tend not to be repeat orders. And those people who will say, I really like this collection, but I know it's not right for my customers, they're going to like that one. It's much easier to help them build the right order, if you like, for their shop because they have a confidence around knowing who their customers were. And I think that doing the markets for me helps me understand who buys what. Like in today's conversation, I think that the buyer was drawn to a particular range, and I said, "Can I just check the age range of your customers? Because actually, I think you've missed a trick here because this collection is actually the fastest selling in my retailers for that demographic." And I think I had a feeling that would be your demographic, and I think you should perhaps look at that one instead. So,
And did you find that they appreciated that kind of feedback and guidance?
yeah, so it's like, wow, that is really great intel. Um, yeah,
And I think the more you can give retailers, I think you can really help build trust between the two of
yeah,
you too. I remember, back in the day, sometimes I would tell the buyers just not buy something and they would still buy it. And then the next show, I'd be pissed because obviously it didn't sell, but sometimes they would remember, but you told me not to. So at this
so that
time, I'm going to
cluster,
listen to
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah,
And that kind of helps the relationship long term, I think.
definitely, yeah.
It's also how we can sell. A lot of people find it icky to sell, right? But we can still be authentic and keep our moral intact if we sell with a really honest approach and collaborative approach, I think.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Because you don't, I don't want to go through a conversation for somebody to place an order and never hear from them again. I want it to be a long term relationship. And I
Yeah.
want it to be somewhere that they're as proud that they stopped me as I am proud that I'm stopped there. So,
I think that's, the best thing for everyone's time. And of course, sometimes you get it wrong. It doesn't work everywhere, but with the best intentions, at least. What has been your biggest learning when it comes to keeping reorders coming in?
I think that one of the things that I've discovered is that, well, it just takes time. You just have to be so, you have to be so persistent and you have to kind of develop a bit of toughness around it. I had a lovely compliment today that I had been very professional in the way that I'd kept in touch, but I did feel throughout that journey of the last 2 months that I'd been pestering perhaps because it can feel alien to just keep following up and keep following up. But I was assured that I wasn't pestering it was good. So, and I think I've had quite a few experiences where people have sent me an email or left me a message saying, I want to place an order or an existing customer. That's sold out. I need to place a restock order. And then that will still take 4, 5, 6 weeks for them to actually do it. No matter how many times you reach out and say, do you want to do it on the phone? Or here's the form you could fill in, or shall I do it this way? And you just have to not take it personally. It's back to that thing about imagining them in their life, imagining what they're doing. And I've had that from, both scales of stockists. I've had it from the one person band, and I've had it big organization, and there will be something going on, won't there? There'll be, it's school holidays, the kids are home, it's harder, or, um, there's something going on in the building that the business is focusing on differently, etc. So you just have to hold your nerve, keep being polite, and yeah, if it's a relationship that you want to develop, just go with it.
I love that. And how do you keep going? Because of course, that's a challenge. It's easier said than done, right?
It's really hard to think of a new way to say, do you want to place this order now? And I think just, my last one to today's conversation was just like, yeah, I just got into this market, and I'm really happy about it. And it reminded me that I should call you, and yeah, well, I should get in touch with you. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you keep your motivation up?
Very hard to it is very hard. I talk to you, that's helpful. And obviously being part of your program has been immensely helpful. And also just like talking to other makers, so whether it's in your program or not, just other makers. What I find is that what I found since I've gone back to market is that jewelers are so supportive of each other. Um, like I'm doing a festival, I'm trading at a festival, that's the end of this weekend, at the weekend. And a jeweler who I slightly know from doing markets, we don't even live in the same city. And she's actually going to this festival as a sponsor. And she was like, oh, I'm going to come and stuff your store for you so you and your husband can go off and see something together. And, that's such a sweet thing to do, isn't it? So I feel like just reaching out to your community and realizing the retailer isn't personally ignoring you, doesn't dislike you. And, but also realizing a lot of us are in the same situation and just supporting each other, being each other's cheerleaders.
I love that. That's one of the things that I love the most about small business, and actually why Sales Growth Lab is still by application only. Like, I'd probably sell a lot more seats if I didn't do it that way, to be
Yeah.
quite honest. But I think everyone inside are so supportive of each other,
Yeah.
and it just feels nice. Like,
Yeah.
it's one
And
of the
but
things
it's
that I'm
hard to
so
hold
happy
that
about.
space. You hold
Yeah.
that space and you create that. So yeah, that's the special bit.
It's so nice. Like, one of the like Tessa inside, she was like commenting today that she'd seen your stuff. Was it National Portrait Gallery?
National Portrait
Nat-
Gallery in Scotland.
Yeah, and it's just so nice. It just makes
Yeah.
me so happy.
I certainly love that as well when people, in fact, actually, that is, I quite often get photos from people on social media, either there or at Tate, because they'll have gone on a trip to see something and they're like, oh my God, it's kids' work. I can remember, one of my proudest moments was I can remember walking into the Tate after the first time they placed an order at Tate Modern and seeing my work in a cabinet and just being like, and looking at it and just like, I don't know, I think I might have taken a picture and I said, I asked to take a picture? Can I take a picture of this? It's a qualified something because that's my work. And I remember staff was like, oh my God. And got all their colleagues and was kind of like, oh, this is the jeweler from Factory Floor Jewels. And they were all like, wow, and they all just wanted to meet me as well. Whereas I thought I'd just snuck in and have a little look. But it felt like a really big moment to see it like professionally displayed against other people's work. Yeah.
I love that. And actually, it is my question of this season is what has been your proudest hotel moment so far?
There's lots, isn't there? They happen every day. Like today, like kind of cracking an order from somebody that I've been trying for quite a while. I think that's always really good. I think it's good to not just stick with one. I think you need to keep inventing proudest moments, don't you? They need to, that keeps you going. That's your motivation. But seeing my
Uh,
work in the shop or actually getting an email from a customer who's tracked me down and found me and said, I just wanted to say that somebody bought me a piece of your work as a gift. Oh, I got an amazing one actually. Got an amazing one from a jeweler um, who doesn't live in the UK, who sent me an email, just said, I just wanted to let you know that my husband was traveling on business and he bought 2 pieces of your work for me and he is in London and it's stunning. And, that
Oh,
was from a fellow jeweler and I was just, oh, yeah.
people are just so nice.
Yeah, I mean, to take the time to find me because, it doesn't come with my email address. It's sold in another shop. But yeah,
Yeah. That is
beautiful.
so nice. And then going back a little bit to like, when you've been following up and you've done the hard bit of being persistent, like I think it's such a journey to get to a point where you're able to do that
Yeah.
and put yourself in that situation. So it makes me really happy that you did that, and it was so nice. We chatted obviously before we pressed record.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hear that because I know that is such a challenge, and yeah, it's a process.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for
Oh,
coming
thank
on
you
the
so much.
podcast. Would you share where people can find you and buy from you?
Yeah. So you can buy from me at all the aforementioned shops. You can buy from me online at factoryflorjewels.com. And my Instagram is Factory Floor Jewels. I'm on Instagram and Facebook.
And also, one thing that I'm starting, we'll also put your fair link
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
in the show notes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I do know that some buyers listen to it. I don't know exactly who, but
Yeah.
I know that they do. So I thought I need to go back actually and edit the episodes and the show notes and put them in.
Put the director link in. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I'll send you actually a link.
Thank you. Well, thank you
Thank you
so
so
much
much.
for coming on the podcast and taking the time. It's always lovely to chat.
Thank you for having me. It's great to see you.
Thank you.